Inability with social.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Still morning. Yes, good. Say, my name is Chris Caius. I am the chairman of the Riverboat Committee for Kane County, and I'm calling this meeting to order on Tuesday, September 24th, 2024 at 11:33 a.m. And can we have Mr. Berger online. Can we do a roll call, please, Scott?
Yes, Berman,
Berman, you there?
Ford,
Board present.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
and finally Caius.
Guys present.
You have a quorum.
All righty.
Hey.
Good, thank you. Okay, then do we do approval of the minutes or there's no remote attendance this morning? No public comment here or online? Don't hear any, see any. Then may I have a request for unanimous consent for the approval of minutes of August 20th, 2024?
Strathman requests.
Okay, so Strathman requests for unanimous consent of the minutes from August 20th, 2024. Is there any objection? Without objection, they are adopted. And now we move on to consideration of the fiscal year 2024 external grant requests. And if you'd like to lead us into this, Mr. Berger.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Earlier this year, we received applications from a total of 32 nonprofit and local government agencies. We've distributed a copy of the applications along with a spreadsheet to all of you. And thank you very much for returning those recommendations to us. We're sharing on your screen the results, which we shared with you yesterday via email. Basically, what we've indicated here is that all of the applicants received recommendations for funding from a majority of the committee, that being 3, 4, or 5 members of the committee. And so as you can see in column J, we've indicated the number of committee members that have recommended a funding amount for each applicant. And then at the far right-hand side in column L, you will see the average figure that was recommended for each applicant agency. Near the bottom of your screen, you'll see that your total average recommendation was just shy of $995,000. That amount is about $25,000 under the figure that the county board approved in its current fiscal year 2024 budget. That figure being $1,019,801. So collectively, you have recommended, if only mathematically, you have recommended a total amount of funding that is within your county board approved budget for fiscal year 2024. And at this time, we would ask you to use these figures as perhaps the jumping off spot for any deliberations that you'd like to convene today regarding whether or not you'd like to change the figures that are represented in column L and perhaps use the remaining $25,442 that is within your budget. Mr. Caius, I turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Berger. Then, so does it just sort of a unanimous consent? Does this sound reasonable? This that we work with these amounts at least initially? Would be not my inclination to get into a lot of back and forth. I think what this represents is we will have underspent our budget by 2.5% or something like that. So I think it comes pretty close to what we were allotted. If I would say if there are no comments about any changes that need to be made with the recommendations that we submitted, I see a comment already.
And Mr. Berman has a comment.
Yes, Mr.
I
Berman.
would take the recommendations that we made and move the ones that are less than $100 or less than rounding them up to the next 100. So the first one would be 21,540 rounded up to 21,600 and all the way down the list. So we end up with a $100, not a fraction of,
And that would be on all of those that didn't have
Yes.
a,
yes. The 50,460 would be 50,500, 70,000 would be 70 plus,
Can you tell me
800.
what lines you're looking at so I can follow along?
well, okay.
if you go to column,
I was going by the last column to the right.
Okay.
which is L,
No, 21,540.
Oh, I see. Okay.
any
Okay.
of those that are not 000 would done.
Oh,
thus
I
become
see.
The
Okay.
next,
Okay.
we rounded up to the next.
The next 100.
Next
Okay.
100 and next 1,000.
The next
100.
1,000. Next 100, next 1,000.
100 is what I
Next
was
100.
saying, 100.
So if it's 540, go to 600. Instead of
Yep,
1,000.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, give me just a moment here to look at mine. That's
Okay.
not a lot of
That's-
change.
Right.
No.
And you're going to change, are you changing that on the sheet, Mr. Berger?
Doing it now.
Actually, Glassford has shared her screen, and I believe she's going through and highlighting the figures that would be affected by Mr. Berman's motion.
Oh.
And we'll be, Tracy, will you be updating those figures for us? That will obviously dig into the $25,000 to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
207 additional, 211 additional dollars, I believe. Not a lot.
Yeah, $125 or something.
Okay.
Or 1,000.
I lost my screen. There you
Okay,
go.
so there we go. Okay. So if I'm correct, Tracy, this brings us to $994,700.
No. 60.
Still approximately 25,000. Is that math? That's the math's
Yeah.
not right because that's the same.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
right.
She's updating that figure right now for us.
I'm sorry, I didn't. do
So that leaves still 25,101 unallocated. And just for your information, members of the committee, not go anywhere. They will stay in your fund, Fund 120, and bolster the balance that you carry going forward for future use.
David.
Mr. Chairman Ford,
Mr. Ford?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. So is our goal before we've sent out a second sheet and review them, or is our goal to try to get it done here today and now?
Now,
Okay.
so we're going to play with this until we get, I don't think there's that many changes. If it gets too cumbersome, we'll go back. We've already agreed that we're going back to the original if we can't agree on, if we get into too lofty a discussion here.
All right, then, one of my thoughts is some of us was there last year at their, presentation with their kids with APS and their program. So I was kind of surprised at that dollar amount, being, at 47%. And there's probably some other ones in there that requested the $100,000 level that actually had good programs. Whether or not we want to raise those up to, I don't know, maybe 55%.
I'll have to have more clarity on what it is.
Mr.
you're
Caius, this is
asking. You
Scott.
brought up APS and other programs or just APS?
Well, at least start with APS.
Well, okay, I don't want to get into too much of a discussion and going through each one of them by item. I would prefer that if you have a suggestion that is a broad suggestion that will change. I don't want to go through each one of these.
Mr. Caius.
Ms. Strathman,
I
Mr.
would
Caius,
like
this
to-
is Scott.
Scott, Mr. Berger.
I'll defer to Ms. Strathman.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Strathman,
I just wanted to say, I would like to see us use the 25,000
okay.
rather than put it in the account for next year.
Okay, then on a broad scale, I would suggest that we, of those, of the categories that we have, if they're under, excuse me, if they are under, like the three smallest ones, which were, each, Dundee Township was 8,000, Friends of the Fox River was 9,000, and Geneva Historical Society was 8,000, that we bring those up to the requested amount, because that's a small amount to chip away at each one of those. That would be my suggestion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Caius, I would like to call your attention to the fact that in some cases, column O indicates that you are providing all the funding that the applicant requested and then more funding. And I would, from a funder's perspective, I would discourage you from giving an applicant more money than they requested.
Okay, that wouldn't be my intention, would not be my intention. If we were to do,
So the first applicant I see here is the Aurora Metropolitan Exposition Auditorium and Office. You actually have a column that indicates you want to give them all the funds that they provided, that they requested, and more. And there are other examples like that.
okay, I think we're going a different direction than I thought.
Yeah, I thought you meant,
I'm talking about the lowest items, which are 8,000, 9,000, and 8,000, only those three.
Okay.
to match their request, right?
And then they match the request, so it'd be 13,000, 16,000, and 14,000.
Mr. Caius,
Yes.
you said that was Dundee Township, Friends of the Fox. and what-
Dundee Township Historical Society, they're the smallest ones.
Yes,
Just to
what
bring them
was-
up. Friends of the Fox River and Geneva Historical Society.
Okay,
And
thank you.
I don't know if I missed any. This doesn't include any of those that are small that we're giving 100%. Because there are smaller ones for like 5,000.
Mhm.
That's a full request, though.
Those are all going to be receiving, as we have it now, all that they are requesting. So
Right.
we would not be paying those anymore.
Right.
And there's 2, 4, 5 items like that, which is the Fox Valley Older Adult, the DuPage Soil and Water Conservation, the
Yes.
Literacy Volunteers, Literacy Connection, and the Young Women's Christian Association.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, let's get this math on this, make sure we got the math down, and then you would have the floor, Mr.
Right.
Leonard. Are we up on that, Mr. Berger?
So it appears that Tracy's made changes to at least 3 lines on your spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And that brings you to a balance, unallocated balance of just shy of $8,000.
Okay, then we're at that, then Mr., do you have a suggestion, Mr.? Leonard?
yes, Mr. Chairman, my suggestion is that we, first and foremost, decide and vote on Mr. Berman's motion, which was seconded, which said, bring everything up to the next $100. So I think we need to vote on that first and then move on to the other motions.
Makes sense.
Okay, well, is there any objection to Mr. Berger's suggestion? I'll
No.
take that as unanimous consent. Is there any objection to the suggestion I have, which is to bring the lowest ones up? Unanimous consent? Then,
Combine those motions.
so they're in our program now. We have about $8,000 left. And your suggestion was to give AP more?
Let's go ahead and, well, it's up to you, Mr. Chairman, whether or not you want to vote on those two together. Make
Well, we
sure.
did, we just did.
Yeah,
We got a
we've
unanimous
approved
consent, which is
those.
the same as a
No, no.
unanimous vote.
Okay, all right.
Up to, for those 2 changes. Then with those 2 changes, then we have about $8,000 left, 7,900.
Is
Your
it
suggestion was to
exactly
give it to Amy.
8,000 or?
7,991, I think. 7,911.
Then before I go into that suggestion, then, I know a lot of talk in the past, we have talked about whether or not we want to have a contingency in this. Do we want to, but we definitely want to spend all the money. Is that where we at?
I think we agreed on the original, yeah, we got a unanimous consent to spend it all, or did we?
Yes, we did.
That's
I
fine.
think we did, to spend it.
Well, it sounds
But it-
like we got one member, wants to,
Mr. Roth is not a member.
yeah. but I respect his presence.
Mr. Roth, did you have a
Well,
salient?
Ms. Chapman suggested we spend it all, but that's all I heard
Was
the
there a suggestion?
discussion going.
I think, yeah, now that I think about it, I think you're correct,
Mhm.
that we spend it all. I didn't hear an objection to do that,
All right, I just
I
want to
guess.
make
So
sure.
is that okay? Then we'll do unanimous consent for that.
Sure.
So in retrospect, we're going to spend it all, bring it up to our
Right.
amount. The original agreement was that we would spend what was given there, then we would allot the second suggestion, and the third suggestion was to round them all as per Berman. And then the last one was to bring up the very lowest ones, those three up to that. And that leaves us about $7,911. And then you had a suggestion to give API more money, but I don't know if there's a, Mr. Leonard?
I also have a suggestion. I think the APS Training Institute is fine. However, if we go down to the second from the bottom, the University of Illinois Extension, Kane County, any monies we give them, they're matched. So if we gave the $7,911 that we have left over to the University of Illinois Extension, Kane County, they would in essence be getting about $16,000 because they have matching funds on that. So that 7,991 would turn into just under 16,000 that they would be receiving. So my suggestion is we give that additional 7,911 to the University of Illinois Extension. And the only reason why I prefer that over APS is because they get matching funds on that, which I think is worthwhile.
We can leave $11 off that.
Yeah.
Okay?
So then it
And
would
then
be
leave 11. Let's not quibble.
$15,800 in essence is what
Yeah.
the University of Illinois Extension would get.
Is it because we get the matching funds?
Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Is there, well, I'm going to go back here because we sort of have like, well, okay, Mr. Rathman, if you can bring this to clarity.
okay.
Okay.
I also support APS a lot. I think they're a great program, but I agree with Mr. Leonard with the matching funds that this is the way, this is where this money should go. And so that's who I would support. Not that I am against APS at all. I think they're fabulous. But the matching money, it all adds up.
Okay, can we get a unanimous consent to do that?
Sure.
I know Mr. Ford's. Sorry, Ron.
I'm gonna sustain anyway from the vote, so with them.
You abstain from it?
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain from the vote on those anyway. So I'm gonna abstain from APS and Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, okay, so that would be unanimous consent, essentially from those that could vote because you're partisan.
Mm.
Okay. All right, well then, Mr. Berger, I believe we'd move that $7,900 to the University of Extension, Illinois Extension, Kane County.
Yes, Tracy is adding that to your column M. So you have an unallocated balance on the spreadsheet of $11.
Does the $11
Seed
describe
money.
anybody that's,
Seed money.
yeah, well,
If she wanted to spend it all.
round figures that's going to make them crazy? If not, then I would ask for a vote or a motion to adopt this as we have it right here. I'll take that as a
So
motion.
move.
Berman,
Leonard moved,
second.
Berman seconds, and then we'll have any discussion? Roll call, please.
Berman,
Yes.
Ford,
Or yes, but like I said, I would abstain from APS and the Boys and Girls Club.
noted. Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Caius.
Caius, yes.
Your vote is
And-
unanimous.
Okay, then this would be as adopted by us, submitted to, this goes to exec, does it, or?
That is correct. We'll
Fine.
prepare a resolution that takes these recommendations forward to the executive committee and ultimately to the county board.
Okay, do we need any other business, Mr.?
No other business at this time.
Okay,
Gums, I'm online. I have a question.
sure, Ms. Gums?
Thank you. And I apologize for the ignorance of the question, but it is ignorance. So when we do the applications, I have like Aurora Township Fire Department is in my queue to try and find them funding. When can they apply again for the next batch? What is that date?
Mr.
We
Berger?
we typically announce the availability of funding in January and ask that applicants prepare applications and submit them in March or April. So we do
March or April.
give 2 or 3 months for applicants to respond to our call for projects. Also, I want to let everyone know that we announce the availability of the applications through the Kane County Connected newsletter. So that goes out to everybody that's subscribed to that. We typically encourage all prospective applicants to subscribe to the county's newsletter. That way they're ensured of being notified of the availability of applications.
Thanks for the clarity.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Gumbs. I get that question all year round from various sources. So, and I forget, I can't remember. Short memory span. Okay, so then we have conducted our business at this point. This has been submitted to will be a resolution in exec. And I don't believe there's any other business. I will note that this year's committee did not omit anyone from receiving funds. So they'll note that these are certainly worthwhile, and I certainly wish we could cover all of the costs, but I apologize that we will not be able to do that. And I hope we can, that the entities that we supply money to can make the best of them and complete their projects. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Leonard moves to adjourn.
Leonard,
And seconds.
Strathman seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.